You are listening to the Cubby Podcast with the Cubby Cast and your host, Tyrone Lewis.
Simple. Her audio you control on the slider. That's it.
This right here?
Yep.
Do you have headphones for me to listen to?
Right there.
So I can hear everything from here?
Yeah, you'll be able to hear everything.
Yeah, there you go.
So you should be able to hear yourself now on the mic. So you always want to keep this close to you because this is your mic.
This is me?
Yeah, that's you.
Testing, 1, 2. Yes, I can. Welcome to the Cubby guys. Thank y'all for coming out. I appreciate y'all. This is your host, TLouDoWhatitDo, and we're here with a very special guest. We are here with Shamara Cox. I call her Star. Okay, I got it.
It sounds good?
Sounds great. Invite. Email. Boom. Now, what's the record button?
Oh, the record button. The record button. Right there.
Okay, got you.
So you just hit it with this one. And pretty much don't close that because we also operate 2 radio stations out of here. So I don't want nothing else to get myself.
You tell me what to press and I'll press it, brother.
Yeah, or you should be able to, I think. Yeah, so you're good to go. And you'll be able to see your meter right here as you talk live. So if you need help with anything else, let me know. And when you're about to record, just let me know and I'll shut the door.
Okay, can you close it now? If
yeah.
you don't mind, because then I'm about to jump on and something.
Okay.
Can I hear you now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good. You fancy in your full studio.
Yo, don't worry about what I did.
I'll just say it. You're very fancy.
First of all,
I wasn't expecting all of this. Now I feel underplayed. I need to go grab my stuff.
Wait, first of all,
my mic. Not joking.
First of all, I don't know if you know what they call me. They call me TLouDoWhatitDo.
Yeah, I love that. I'm looking forward to you laughing tonight. That's for sure. I'm waiting for it.
You told me last time that you liked my laugh. That's what you
do.
So I just want to make sure that you're comfortable. I think I've been traveling. I've been moving around, and hopefully, do I look okay? Do I look weird? Is this a weird setup?
No, it's a great setup.
Okay, all right. I want to make sure.
107.7 FM.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to that. I'm gonna get to those things right now. But welcome to the Cubby guys. Thank y'all for coming out. It's your host TLouDoWhatitDo, and I'm in the building with a very special guest. This individual I have known, or have seen or witnessed her growth for the last, I would probably say 10 to 12 years.
It has been that long.
And if all my people out there that know me, they know I come from the University at Albany, the State University of New York, Albany. So I'm just going to shout it out. UA.
You know?
We got Shamara Cox in the building. Did I say that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
I call her Star.
That's
everybody that I know that I've had personal relationships with in the past, or present, has called her Star. I'm not sure if you know the person that is like mutual to us. I'm not sure, if you guys are still cool or not, but this person directly, I'm going to shout her out, Jessica Forbes, put me up on you a long time ago. And I've been a fan of ever since. But before I continue along with the episode, I always have to say the Cubby Rules. And what are the Cubby Rules? The Cubby Rules are a set of rules that we have to live by. We have to abide by when we're in the Cubby. And I know Shamara Cox is here in the building, and she has heard us before in the past. But the first rule of the Cubby is there are no rules to the Cubby. Second rule of the Cubby is whatever you bring, you got to finish. I don't bring my little Subway cup. $5 foot long type stuff. Third rule of the Cubby is be yourself. Ain't nobody worried about you in the Cubby. Fourth rule of the Cubby is stay on your P's and Q's because you never know what happens in the Cubby. Fifth rule, and the most important rule, Miss Star. You only get 3 times in the Cubby. And once those 3 times are up, those 3 times are up. So I just want to say thank you once again for joining us. And the Cubby here, it's a safe place for us to just commune and for us to get together and be comfortable. And we are doing a 7-part series. And one of the elements of our 7-part series is spirituality and how that affects our life. But before we continue and we say what the topic of the day is, I'm going to give you the chance to introduce yourself, tell the people a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your brand is, and why are you here today in the Cubby? She laughed.
I did. So hi everyone. I am Shamara Cox. You can call me both names. I go by Shamara and Star. I am a TV producer and content creator, and I teach people on how to hear from God. So I have a full ministry. It's called Whisper Hearing God. I have master classes, Bible study. I teach people how to prophetic journal so that you can hear God's thoughts. And I'm really just that sounding voice to help give you direction on what God is telling you to do for your life. I have a brand. It's Book of Star. That is my name on Instagram as well as on TikTok. Well, on Instagram is Book of Star _ and it's also my blog, and that's where I talk more. I give you more tips on how to hear from God, but then I also have fun, really using my skills that I learned in grad school, shooting, editing, just doing a lot of fun of those TikTok-esque videos. And I live in the Bronx, New York, all my life. Very
BX
happy.
all day, baby.
All day. But I am Jamaican. I'm first generation American, so both my parents are from Jamaica. So I grew up in a very Jamaican household, and I can cook some really good Jamaican food. Just to let you know.
I don't know where that came from. I know that's part of the introduction or not.
You said tell you about me, so
you're right. Y'all know what's the cover first.
Okay. So why am I here today? To have fun, have great conversation. I guess you're gonna bring up the topic, so I won't bring it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up the topic, and this is your host TLouDoWhatitDo. Just in case you did not hear, 7-part series that we are speaking to influential people of the culture, those that are making great impacts with us, those that are making impressions that last for a long period of time. So we reach out to these people and just say hello. We want to get their background story, and we want to get their opinions on a particular topic moving forward. So the topic of today is something that we can all relate to, something that is a staple in our community, I feel like, and I'm going to kick it over to Star to try to see if she feels that way as well. But the topic of today is here at the Cubby, because we always talk about it. We got to talk about it. Being 5 Black professional men in a corporate space, we all like to talk about certain themes that we all go through, certain similarities. So the topic of the day is entitled The Fear Brigade. What does that mean? How are we looking to eliminate fear or enhance fear? Let's just understand what fear is. So fear is a staple in our society that rears its formative head in a multitude of situations. Wouldn't you agree? How has the aspects of fear guided your point of view on self? What can you contribute your decisions to? Fear or faith-based? As it relates to your career, your views on society, and your personal endeavors, let's sit down and talk about your experiences with fear. What can we learn from fear, and what are some steps we can take as a community to promote faith over fear? And once again, these are aspects of our community that we really try to delve into, not only the personal and professional development, comedy, art, and entertainment, but spirituality, I believe, and I'll get Star's opinion. What are your opinions on fear, and what is your experience with fear that you can share with the people today?
I have a lot of opinions on fear.
Do you? I didn't know that.
I'll probably speak a lot on the spiritual side of it, but before I even go into that, I want to just share how fear crippled me in my life. I grew up scared of a lot of things, and I'm going to say that I really recognized the fear after I graduated from college. I was afraid of the dark. I was afraid to walk outside. I live in the hood, so I was afraid to walk outside around Halloween because of blood initiation that they used to talk about.
Yeah, I know about it. I know about it. And plus, you're an attractive woman, so that in itself comes with a lot of inherent fear. But don't let me cut you off. Go ahead. I just had to point out to the people.
Well, thank you for that. That fear crept into me when I was 5 years old, in the 5th grade. And so those fears were perpetuating from childhood all the way to adult years. I used to have social anxiety. Like, it wasn't really a fear, but it was something that stopped me from talking to people. I was afraid to network. I was afraid to break into my industry. I was afraid to fail, afraid to be successful. So it really just ran rampant in my life. And slowly, as I was walking with God, he started to expose it in my life. And then just last year, he told me, you're going to live by bold faith. Now, I didn't know what that meant. I
Well,
thought
let's explain it. What do you mean live by bold faith? Did he explain it to you, or did you have to live through the experience of?
I had to live through the
That's
experience.
a key difference.
Okay, it was a whole year of like, so what I initially thought when he told me, so usually God gives me a word for the year, like a prophecy for the year. So the prophecy was, you're going to live by bold faith. I thought he meant he'll tell me to do something, I will do it, and then I was going to reap the benefits.
Gotcha.
That is not what he meant.
No.
He meant he'll tell me to do something, I would do it, and then I have to sit and wonder, like, wait a second, what's going on here?
Yo, let's be honest with you. God be speaking in code sometimes. Let's talk about it. The man's never deliberate, y'all. He never just say go outside, go to the corner store, pick up a pack, and come home. He just say go outside and do what you feel like is right to do. Let's talk about it. You can't talk about it?
That's it. No, it's true. Like go outside.
Go outside.
Where do you, but there's a reason why he does that though. Because it's when he's speaking like that, that's how we're able to build that relationship with him. We're building it based on trust. So if God says go, you don't know where you're going, but you just start walking. And as you start walking, he starts to illuminate your path. And so that's really what was happening for me for the year. So in January, God said, quit your job. And I was like, ain't nobody quitting a job.
Ain't nobody quitting the bag. That's the bag.
That don't make no sense.
10,000.
But I was afraid to quit my job. I was afraid to not have any money coming in. And I used to tell God, I just don't see you as my provider. And there's a lot of us who are like Jehovah Jireh, my provider. And I wasn't saying that. I was like,
yeah. That's where the faith kicks in.
Yep.
That's when, and listen, you preach to the choir, man. Listen, when I tell you the Lord has put me in places where most people would be afraid, and he literally had conversations with me to say, hey, listen, and I told you before about speaking to go outside. Yeah, but God, it's cold outside. I don't care. Go outside. Yeah, but God, there's a blizzard outside. I don't care. Go outside. Yeah, but God, I don't got no gooseneck coat. I don't care. Go, and it's not until I go outside where I realize it's not snowing no more.
Ooh, come on, that's
You know
a whole word. That is a whole word.
There's snow on the floor, but it ain't snowing no more.
Come on.
That's where I really connect with you. And I think that's where a lot of people got to understand. It ties back into the fear brigade. And what you were just talking about is growing up, we are conditioned. So do you feel as though from when you were a child, how does fear rear its head specifically to when you have to make decisions as an adult? And who is the initiator of that fear generally?
So, so sometimes fear comes out through our trauma. So if you're someone who was walking across the street and a car almost hit you, now you're going to have this fear that you're going to get hit by cars. So then when you get older, sometimes you may not want to cross the street. You may not even want to drive in cars, like it's just perpetuating for that. So for me, a lot of my fear stemmed from when I was a child. My mom actually is someone who's super fearful. And I didn't notice until recently, actually. And I don't think she noticed until recently as well. And so as I was making decisions when I was, after I graduated from college, even when it came to choosing jobs, I was making safe decisions because I was afraid of being unemployed. I was afraid of taking bold fake steps. I was afraid of doing this or doing that. And a lot of it just stemmed from I kind of was living a safe life.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it until I was bored. And I'm like, Lord, why am I so bored? And he's like, because you got to step outside your comfort zone. I'm calling you deep.
Star, I can't really see you bored, though. What you mean? You got to explain that. What do you mean
I was bored. So
like,
after
bored with life, going to work, coming home, eating a fruit roll up and going to sleep? What are we talking about? How are you bored? What are we talking about? You a Delta now, right? You a Delta now.
Come on.
Yeah, let me
all day.
Bored?
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's expand upon that. So the fear really rear its head. And I think this is a perfect point to allow others to understand that fear and you being scared and just timid is a playground for negative forces to infiltrate your life. And this is the Cubby, man. And we speak real. And if you are a consistent member of the Cubby, you understand what us as 5 Black professional men in the corporate space have to go through, right? And we like to get other people's opinion and put them on stage to allow them to express their opinions as well. So you being bored, what did that teach you? Did that teach you to remain in that space, or did it teach you how to propel? Not to propel, but how to propel yourself outside of that space?
So actually, for me, that boredom that I'm talking about was this gnawing feeling that I should be doing more, that I had purpose. And I didn't realize that and I didn't recognize that. And actually, I was depressed most of my teenage years and early 20s and mid to late 20s because I
Until
felt like
yesterday.
I should be, huh?
Until yesterday. I'm just,
No.
I'm just saying.
But yeah, I felt like I should be doing more. But because of the safe decisions that I was making, I wasn't doing more. So there I was, like in my mid 20s at a job that I hated. I didn't even want to do that job. I was in a relationship that I wasn't really happy in, but there I was settling out of fear of leaving, and I wasn't doing what I'm doing now, which is like talking to people, living so boldly and on fire for God. I kind of was just reserved. I still was afraid to even just talk to people. So I really was bored. I was just like going to my 9 to 5 and then coming back home. But I knew like I had desires to do more, but I just wasn't doing it. And I could say it's because I just didn't know how to, but really I was just scared. I was scared because I didn't even know where God was calling me into. Like it was just, you have these visions and then you think these visions are too big. I'm not doing that.
So
So
you mentioned your relationship
with God or with my ex.
with your ex, and I'm going to start there, and only because I feel like that's a strong component to your decision making. And sometimes when I tell people, I think sometimes fear is such a big component in our lives that it kind of is a big influence on who we decide to be in our lives.
Yes, it's very true.
Right? How was that experience? Like, can you say now that you're out of that experience, which I don't know?
I'm out.
I'm not making no assumption. Once again, I don't get in people's relationships. That's my thing. I tell my brother all the time, hey, bro, don't ask me. Don't ask me, bro, unless you really want to know. But anyway, I digress. So, how did fear allow you to get into that relationship? And how did fate take you out of that relationship?
That is a good question.
Yeah, well, this is the Cubby, man. This is what we do.
We showing off on God today. Okay. I said to God, I don't want to feel weird talking all this spirituality stuff. But
Who,
here we
me?
go.
Yo, you talking to me. First of all, my name is TLouDoWhatitDo. Please check out the Cubby. The Cubby is on all platforms, by the way. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on iHeartRadio. It's on Pandora. It's on everything. So we ask these questions only because it's about real conversation. And it's like you're walking in on the conversation. So these are the things I got to ask you. How did fear bring you into that relationship? And how did fate take you out?
Come on. Okay, so I started dating my ex maybe in 2011. I don't remember how old I was, but when he was pursuing me, I used to pray to God that we wouldn't get together because I wasn't interested. I'm like, Lord, that's not my husband. I don't want to date him. But he just kept pursuing me. And at this point in my life, I had never been in a long-term relationship. So part of me is just like, are you even dateable? Are you even a wife? And a lot of that, of course, had to deal with daddy issues.
Of course.
And so because where I felt like my father didn't love me, I didn't think that another man could love me. So here comes the one guy who's actually pursuing me and taking me seriously. We get into the relationship, and about 3 months in, I know I don't want to be in this relationship, right?
3 months?
3 months.
What is that, like 6 dates? I kind of spread them out, me personally. I don't do nothing in the first 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks later, I show up and be like, yo, like, what's up? And so was that 3 dates? Was it 6 months?
I'm done. Well, I knew him pretty much most of my life.
Right.
Sort of knew him. So we were kind of dating every day. When you're dating me, we're going out all the time. So
listen, I don't get in people's relationships. I don't do that. So you're right. Okay, y'all 6 months in.
3 months.
3 months, sorry.
Because there did come a 6 month point too, but we were 3 months in, and I'm like, I gotta get out of this relationship. Like, this is not the relationship for me. But what's going through my mind is like, people say things like, God gives you what you want, not what you need. So I was thinking this must be what I need. And since I had been single all this time, I don't need to get out of the relationship. Like, he was talking marriage. So in my mind, I'm like, all right, we're going to get married. He's the only one who's been doing this. So let me say.
Wait, he was talking marriage?
He was
Or God was talking marriage to you?
No, my ex was talking marriage to me.
So
God
he was intentional.
He was in, I don't know.
He was intentional. That's what it's called. Women like guys that are intentional. We can put facts on that. Women like guys that are intentional, but sometimes Listen, I got a saying that women don't know what they want, right? But we don't need to get into that. Hot take.
That's funny. I heard you talk about that on a podcast, and I was like, that is not true. But whatever. That's another story. That's another story. Let me finish my story because I see your face.
We're gonna talk about it. Let's talk about it.
I'm looking at you like, how long are you gonna hold your breath for?
I'm finding Nemo in this. I'm finding Nemo out here. Like, I'll hold my breath as long as I need to find my daddy.
So we're 6 months in, and I'm still like, I need to leave this relationship. It is not for me. 6.5 years later, there I was like, exactly. That's what fear does to you. Like, you know it from the start. This, I don't need to be in it. I need to go. And at some point, I fall in love. I felt very manipulated in falling in love, first of all, because he wouldn't even allow me the time to do it. It was just like, well, I'm in love with you. How come you're not in love with me yet? And I'm like, because I've never been in love before. Can I just, take the time to develop it?
So now at this point, be able to do that.
Right. So at this point, I'm in love. But then, you start your mid-20s, especially if you're a woman, your mid-20s start coming and you approaching 30 and you're like, well, this is the only guy. And who else am I going to marry? But I'm unhappy and I can't breathe at night because I literally feel like I'm suffocating in a relationship I don't want to be in. Exactly.
Fear.
And God
fear to
kept
leave,
telling me,
fear to stay.
Come on. God kept telling me, break up with him. So what happened was I was 1 foot in, 1 foot out for like 4 years of our relationship. And by the 4th year, I'm like, Lord, I need an answer from you. Is this my husband or not? And I heard a very loud yes. So then I go tell this guy, well, you're my husband. So we're going to, 2 weeks later, God says, break up with him. I'm like, Lord, why are you sending mixed messages? Turns out that yes wasn't God. That was a different voice. And God kept telling me, break up with this guy. God gave me 2 years because I could have broke up with him right then and there, but I was scared to leave. I kept asking for the strength to leave, but I just, I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to start over again. And finally, after waking up in the middle of the night, feeling like I'm suffocating, all I'm hearing is break up with him, break up with him, break up with him. I just was like, Lord, I need you to. And then God sends me a prophecy. He says, a door is going to open. He didn't tell me it's my relationship. Like you say, he speaks in, mystic
codes.
Okay. He said, a door is going to open. Walk through it. When it closes, it will not open again. And I thought this has to be the relationship. So the door opened and I ran through it.
Yeah, you was out.
I didn't want the door to close and then it never opened again. So I had, all that praying for strength. He gave me the strength. So faith really did get me out the relationship. There's many other things that's attached to it. That how God started waking me up and showing me like, this isn't the guy for you. You're not happy. Like I started hosting tea parties where I'm telling women, you can live the
green
life
tea
you want.
Or peppermint?
All types of tea, including wine.
Chamomile?
You name it, we had it.
Black tea?
Everything. Matcha, everything.
Yeah, I was about to say matcha. You took the matcha right out.
Reading your mind. No.
But no, I'm really glad of that. I think it's a perfect segue to pay some bills. We got to pay some bills. And then we're going to come into, because here at the Cubby, what we normally speak about, we talk about the personal aspect, but we got to understand how that impacts your career, as well as what's the social impact with you. So we're going to go ahead and pay some bills. The Outcry Consulting Group is a management consulting agency. Our consultants advise startups and adolescent stage organizations in business strategies, innovation, business development, risk management, and more. By defining the present and securing the future, the Outcry Consulting Group represents a clear mission to revolutionize and personalize the management consulting business for the digital age, ensuring consistency, accountability, and strategic alignment for attainable and affordable organizations. From the seed idea to the final product, ACG uniquely focuses on operational advancement through process design and procedure documentation. Sounds real professional, don't it? Contact one of our professionals today for a free consultation. And we're back here, guys. Today, we got Star here. We just finished with a great story talking about how fear was a major impact and a major voice in her personal life. And I think it's important for us to all understand here at the Cubby, and if you guys are just joining the Cubby now, you might have fell asleep in the first 10 minutes. I don't know how, but that was just an interesting story. I don't know how you was in it and you didn't leave because of fear, but I know as a fact, because this is what the universe tells me. Let me tell you a little something about me, Star. I'm an alchemist. Have you ever read the book, The Alchemist?
No, but my
I'm
friend
gonna
told me
suggest
about
it.
it.
Yeah, I'm gonna suggest it to you. It's by Paulo Coelho, and this gentleman here, his name is Santiago, and he's an alchemist. No matter what he does or what he touches, it turns into gold. There's certain things about alchemy that you have to understand. One, you always have to have a fire burning. Now, that could be internal, it could be external. Number two, you have to believe. The belief system is more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And what is that? What are we talking about today? Fear and faith. So you have to have more faith than anything. You can do all things as an alchemist. You just have to apply yourself in order to do so. So with that being said, with you getting out that situation in your personal life, I want to congratulate you because it's a major thing. It's a huge thing, and I appreciate that. And I'm taking steps in order for me in my personal life to not have fear be not a deciding factor,
Mm-hmm.
but a condition. Can I say that?
Mm-hmm.
I think fear sometimes for people that don't live, because I tell people all the time, I'm not afraid of anything. Like I don't. Like I go up on stage and I tell jokes and I get booed. I don't know if you know this about me coming out of college because you really speak to me.
Yes, I did. What are you talking about? First of all, we are supposed to go boxing. You stood me up 20 times.
Wow, don't put that out there in the streets like that.
I'm just saying what I remember.
Start up, put some. First of all,
I'm just saying.
First rule of Cubby is that there are no rules in Cubby, so I respect it. I was saying, you going to put it out in the street. You don't know who's going to contact me now.
Oh, so you supposed to go by. I'm joking.
I'm just saying. Dang, Star. Jesus. I didn't know you remember that. It was only twice. It wasn't 20.
It's so funny because when I was coming on this podcast, I said, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm just not even going. He probably forgot about it.
Nah, I definitely remember. Definitely remember. But a lot of things that we do, fear and faith-based, I've been able to say I'm not afraid of a lot of things, but fear is a condition that I have to live by, and I have to acknowledge at some points in time. This is another question for you, especially when it comes to the social aspect of things. Do we as a society need to acknowledge what fear is, right? A person like me that says fear isn't real. What are we talking about? If we live by fear, we don't succeed. So what are your opinions on the aspect of acknowledging and having fear being a deciding factor in your decisions? Is it real or is it an illusion in order to move forward?
So fear is definitely real. I'm going to just go down a spiritual route with this one. So the word says that we do not, nope, that's the wrong word. The word says that God did not give us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And so right then and there, when I'm reading that scripture, that lets me know that fear is a spirit, right? And so when that spirit comes upon you, your choice is to tell it to leave or to give into it. Now, a lot of people don't believe that it's a spirit. So when it comes upon them, they automatically go into their self-defense mode and listen to it, right? But the word also tells us that the beginning of fear is having fear in the Lord is the beginning of wisdom in God, right? So there's two types of fear. There's godly fear, and then there is Satan's fear, ungodly fear, worldly fear, I guess. And so what a lot of times when we're talking about fear, we're talking about the worldly fear. That's the one that stops you that cripples you from doing the things that God is calling you to do, or doing the things that you desire, or whatever visions that you have for your life. That's the fear that we're talking about. That's the fear that we want to completely obliterate so that you can move forward, because that fear comes into your life, and it comes into your life from a child, from when you're in the womb. It's being passed down from generation to generation, so that it can stop you from moving forward. And here's the thing, here's how it comes into our life. Something may happen to us, and then that voice says, I'm going to protect you moving forward. So the next time a situation like this happens, I'm just going to protect you. And so if you're someone who's listening to that voice and you're thinking it's God, or you're thinking it's yourself, now here comes your big break. You're going to be a famous singer now. Someone wants to give you a contract. I don't know if that's what you want to do, because remember the last time you sang on stage, you got booed. Don't do it. You know, or if you're someone who
Tell jokes.
You tell jokes. There you go. If you're someone who wants to be in a relationship, remember what happened with your parents? They got a divorce. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you're someone who wants to travel the world, your father died when he was on a plane. Don't do it. You know, and people start to give into that voice. And the more you give into that voice, you start thinking it's your personality, and it's not your personality. Hence the reason why God told me you got to live by both faith, because the only way to break fear is to really live by faith. Like
So
fear,
faith is the only counterpart to what fear is. Is that the opposite? Is the opposite of fear faith?
faith, yeah. A lot of people say it's
Factual
courage, but it
statement.
really is fear. Like fear is not doing something because you don't know what's going to happen, right?
Gotcha.
Faith is the same thing. You don't know what's going to happen on the other side, but it's trusting in God or trusting in yourself. But I'm always going to say God, or trusting in
Okay.
yourself that is going to work out anyway. And so I'm saying you can walk by fear or you can walk by faith.
Yeah, but this is my thing. Let's talk to the people because I'm very faith based.
Hmm.
Everything I do is by faith. I don't know. Listen, man.
That's why you don't got no fear.
Everything I do is, I don't know what's going to work out. But I think it's important to acknowledge, though, with some people, because sometimes I've found in my walk of life that you alienate people when you give that message, because now they think you are above certain things, especially how they feel about a certain situation. So how do you as an individual, and I could take my life experiences and give you like just a little nugget, when I tell people sometimes I can do all things, and they look at me and say, no, bro, I can do all things. It's not a problem. No, well, you can't be vegan for a whole year. No, bro, I said I'm gonna be vegan. No, that's challenging. I'm like, yo, bro, like you really don't know me. Because if I say I'm going to do something, I don't know how it's gonna work out. I don't know what meal I'm gonna create next. But I do know if I put myself in, when my back is against the wall, and I make a decision not to do so, some door is going to open up where I can nourish myself. So I've become a great vegan chef. If you want something, what do you want? You want a little butterscotch, you want a little bit of curry sauce? I can go ahead and put that paprika in it. We can let that simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes. Only because I didn't know what else to do. So how do you have conversations with people that look at your faith in things and try to steer you away and inject like a vaccine shot? That's another good point. So those that want to get the vaccine shot is out right now. Please go ahead and stay safe. If you're not a component of it, I understand. This is not an advertisement. I'm just giving a public service announcement. Please stay safe out there. We are not out of the woods yet. Make sure you understand to stay safe, do your diligence, and move forward. But back to the question. How do you promote and or do you steer away from those conversations? What are your tactics when somebody introduces fear to your faith-based decision?
So I am not above fear. That spirit still gets me. And I have to submit it to God just so that I can get out of it. But when I recognize that someone is trying to push fear on me, I'm also a spiritual coach. So I'm really good at listening. So whatever you're saying to me, I'm always listening to the root. And I recognize that you're trying to push that on me because there's a type of fear in you. So I'm just going to speak to what the fear is that's in you, not in a pushy way or a mean way, but in a way to get you to face it like, wait a second, I have some fear here and I'm trying to push it onto someone else. And usually people, when they're talking to me, they leave going, I didn't see it that way before. I didn't think that before.
Do you find yourself being a converter of energy
Yeah, I'm a
all the
thermostat.
time?
I'm a
Yeah,
thermostat.
I think I took a reading the other day, not to get too personal in my life, but we're on the Cubby, and there are no rules to the Cubby, and the third
Hmm.
rule is to be yourself.
Hmm.
So I took a tarot card reading the other day, and this could have a lot of different content. This could have a lot of viewpoints in a lot of different areas for a lot of different people in terms of tarot card reading. But I really do feel as though what you accept is on you. You can get the information, but what you internalize is on you. So at this tarot card reading, they said, I am a converter of energy. And I started to think about that. I don't care what type of energy you bring to me. If it's not positive, I immediately become a conversion engine. I'm not dealing with the negativity. I just don't do it. That's too much fear. I think when a lot of people have negativity that's brought your way, and I think this is for the listeners today, I don't care if it's your family, I don't even care if it's at work. Once you feel as though somebody is injecting negative energy into your space of peace, become a conversion engine. Don't belittle them. Don't say they're doing anything wrong. Just try to see how you can inject more positivity into the light of who they are. And as mentioned, we're doing a 7-part series, and that's why I really wanted to get you on here, because we do promote your brand and we do look at it, and you're such a guiding star. No pun intended.
No, pun intended. That's literally the name. That's the
Oh,
definition
okay.
of my name.
I didn't know. I was just trying to be funny. No pun intended, but I guess all puns intended. But I know we're talking about fear, but Is fear in small amounts healthy?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is some fear that, and this I'm going to just attribute it to godly fear. There is some fear that just stops you from doing anything crazy, like jumping out your window and you're 26 stories high. Like you should have that fear, but the fear that is not healthy is the one that cripples you from moving forward.
What about in your career? Because I remember you talking about how you were bored in your career, you were going home, you had a guy that wasn't stimulating you to the point that you needed stimulation. You were probably eating like oatmeal cream pies from the corner store. First of all, those oatmeal cream pies is fine. Don't do that.
Was not eating that. I have food allergies.
Nah, don't do that. Don't do that. Oatmeal cream pies is fine. If we could have an advertisement from oatmeal cream pies, I would really enjoy that. Back when I was eating like dairy, that would be amazing. But anyway.
Funny.
In your workspace, as mentioned here at the Cubby, we speak about 3 aspects, and one of the aspects is professional career and where we're at. And as Black men in a certain space, and then even with Black women, we have to understand how that impacts us and how fear drives our decision making. But is it healthy when you go into a corporate space, or if you're working with somebody, to have a healthy level of fear in order for you to remain in that position? What is your opinion on that?
Like when you say fear, you talking about reverence?
Reverence is probably a better word when I say
Okay.
healthy parts of fear.
Then yes,
I
I'm
take it
like,
as fear. Anytime you don't do what you want to do based on there's going to be a consequence, for me,
mhm.
just a personal opinion, I think that's elements of fear.
Well, I'm gonna disagree with that a little bit, only because you should exercise wisdom. So, I mean, you shouldn't say everything that's on your mind. You shouldn't do everything that you want to do in that moment. Like, there's a time and place for everything. So, you know
Yeah,
what?
but why not? Like, what are you talking about? Like, if you're your true self in these moments, whether you get fired or not, maybe that's just not a place for you.
That'll make no sense. You got to exercise wisdom. First of all, God is calling us into places to minister to people. If you get mad at your supervisor because he says something stupid, you start cursing him out, you get fired, you just aborted the mission. That makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah, but part of that mission wasn't for you.
That mission was for you. That's why you're there. And you will leave when it's time for you to leave. And you know when it's time for you to leave. You can tell when you aborted a mission and versus when it's time to leave.
So you're telling people not to curse out their supervisor.
Don't curse out your supervisor. Wait till the last day. Then do whatever you want.
You telling people not to curse out their supervisor on Tuesday, wait till Friday, you get that last check, and then you good.
Whatever
and then
you want. Do whatever you want. If you don't care about burning the bridge, do whatever you want from there.
Okay, so that's another good question. Since you're in the supervisor, in your opinion, do you feel like it's better to be feared or loved as a leader?
Definitely loved. Okay, this is a good question. Definitely loved. I will never rule by fear, but I have witnessed people do it. And what happens is they don't get respect. People are just doing stuff because they're afraid to be fired or they don't want to hear your mouth or whatever.
That's not respect?
That's not respect. Absolutely not. Respect comes from love.
Yeah, but if you're doing something I told you to do, that's not respecting my authority? If I tell you to do something as a superior, right, and you do it, whether it's fear or love, are you not, because the whole mantra, money, power, respect is the key to life. And I tell people it comes in that order. I tell people all the time, money, power, respect. Money is the resource. Power is the wavering of people. Respect is the everlasting entity. If I'm telling you to do something and I don't have the money, I don't have the money, which is the resource. I don't have the power, which is the influence. You're never going to respect me. How come that can't come with fear? And I'll give you a perfect example. Me, myself, I'm a person of love. Love is love. Fact, let's talk about it. I say it all the time. I'm a big component of love. I'm very inclusive. But I know a couple people in my family unit that would rather lead by fear because it's a controlling sort of entity.
Exactly.
If you follow me and I know what I'm doing and you stand in line, what's the problem? So can you, and I'm assuming that you've had those certain experiences in your life, not necessarily in your family life, but probably in your professional life. How do you handle those situations when you encounter those people?
So I'm actually happy you even just said the word control, because that's really, control stems from fear. Like when you're like, that's how I was. When I was afraid of everything, I had to now control everything. And it's not good. Like, especially when you want to live by faith, you can't control everything. And so when I was in my relationship with my ex, every time I tried to leave, he would tell me like he's about to commit suicide or he's driving down the wrong side of the highway, like all this stuff, to scare me into staying with him. And I never felt free in the relationship. I felt so controlled. Therefore, I was suffocated. And it was hard to love him when I was suffocating. So it's hard to love and respect anyone when you feel suffocated and fully control. Like your decisions and the choices that you make reveal your identity. If you are constantly making decisions because someone else is telling you to make it this way, because of fear, because of control, you're not going to feel free in who you are. You're not even going to know who you are because every single decision you made is based on that other person. So you'll get a really good idea of who they are. And now you become part two of them, but you're not going to feel free. And so that was a good question you asked about like the respect and the authority thing. But what I was referring to was respecting the person, like, sure, we can say rule out of fear, but do they respect you? Do they feel free? Are they empowered? At least for me, those are the things that I look at. I look at the person being their individual self. And so I like that number 3 rule of the Cubby is to be yourself.
Be yourself,
right? Now,
man.
imagine if I
Ain't
came on
nobody
here
worried about
and you
you,
started
bro.
controlling me. If you started like controlling me with fear, all my responses would be different. And people will never get to know who Star is because I'm now saying things because Tyrone wants me to say it. I mean, TLou, my bad.
Yeah, man, you just gonna throw out my government like that, man. I got a job, bro. What you doing out here? You throw my government out there like that. How they gonna research? You know how people be doing. They be on Google.
They have to know how to spell it though.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's where I stay low key. But I think this is a perfect segue to go into our second half of time. We got to pay some bills, man. I got Star on here, and she's a very influential person. So I want to make sure that we have the platform in order to stand firm in bringing that in. This advertisement is brought to you by Heart and Hustle, a private and group baseball training academy. The past 6 years, Cam Hart dedicated his athletic mind to coaching and giving back within the schooling system. 3 of those years were spent as a head coach of a varsity program. With his experience, he is proud to announce that he is going independent in an effort to positively affect the youth in baseball in the immediate community while broadening his horizons and opportunities in the baseball world. Heart and Hustle offers hitting, fielding, speed, agility, and circuit training sessions. That's a lot of stuff. I ain't gonna lie to you. That better be expensive. I don't know how that's gonna be cheap. Heart and Hustle uses their accumulation of experience and knowledge to develop their young ball players one swing at a time. Heart and Hustle will drive better performance and pursuit of success. It's all for the love of the game. For more information, email camhart28@gmail.com or check out their Instagram page at heart.hustle. Once again, that is at heart.hustle. All right, we're back again, man. There's a couple of things that we're doing here with Shamara Cox, Book of Star. Please go ahead and check her out. I'm going to allow Star, I've known her for a couple of years now, whether it was up close or through a distance, doesn't matter. To just tell the people where they can find you, and tell the people where it is a place for them to get most of your content, because we follow your content and we're always trying to promote your services. The services that you provide is very uplifting. You give a lot of tutorials on how to engage people's followers, right? I remember this one tutorial you did about dropping your phone. I'm not gonna lie to you. When I first saw the tutorial, I said, man, nobody gonna drop their phone, bro. That's my phone. Anybody doing that? I ain't dropping my phone. What are you talking about? But then when I saw the image, I was just like, oh no, I'm dropping my phone twice every day and 3 times on Sunday. Because it was mine. So explain to people where they can find you once again, your Instagram, and a couple of the tutorials that you do on your platform and your book.
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at bookofstar_, and on my page I speak very heavily about who God is and how to hear Him. But then I also share tools and resources on how to create engaging and authentic content. So I'm always shooting videos that are just a lot of fun, doing lots of different transitions, really putting that grad school degree to work. You can also find me on my website at www.bookofstar.com, where you get to see longer form content. I put my longer form videos on there. I also put my blogs on there. And then for early releases of my really poppin' videos, you can follow me on TikTok at Book of Star. It's a lot of fun. We out here having fun.
Yeah, man. We out here having fun. And earlier in the conversation, I'm not sure if you heard, Star called me out about how we supposed to go boxing a couple years ago. Star, I done moved on with my life, bro. I'm good now.
You probably forgive and let that go.
Yeah, I forgot it until about a couple weeks ago when I reached out to you. I was just like, damn, I don't know, Star, remember that? Let me. I came in all subtle. And first of all, I ain't even contacted you first. The team really said, yo, this is a person named Star. She's doing her thing. We kind of e-post. We want to try to see if we can get her on. And I said, Star? And I said, the only Star I know is from you, Anthony. And y'all talking about that Star? Like, damn,
so
bro.
funny.
I was just like, all right, let me see if I can. Let me see what's up, man.
What a small
What we
world.
had today, and I think more than anything, your influence on me to be ironic based on this conversation is that I can see where your content has driven me to be more fearless. And I want to congratulate you for that, because I see people, I know people that operate through fear, and I know people that operate through faith, only because I have traveled both ways. Mm-hmm. So when I see somebody operate through faith, I'm like, okay, support. Support, 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 support. I don't care about the return. I don't care about anything like that, because my support or anybody else's support is going to fuel you to say, I made the right decision. Mm-hmm. Sometimes fear, what it does is it allows you to make a safe decision, mm-hmm. but it doesn't make you make the right decision. And I really want to put that message out there, only because I remember the first time I got on stage, and I was very, like, even now, and through the pandemic, I wanted to do it more. And a lot of people ask me, do you have video of what you do? And I'm be honest, I don't really want to put that out. I want people to sit down and engage. And if I'm on stage and they don't like it, boo. I don't like your stuff, man. You look like that dude from The Hobbit. Remember that one movie? Why your feet so big? I don't get it. You hairy, look at you. I want people to do that only because it allows me to say I'm making the right decision. Anytime that you're making the right decision, you are going to be hit with obstacles that tell you not to do it. Anytime you're making the wrong decision, it's easy. I mean, I can say that as a man dealing with not only women, I can say that as a man dealing with my social impact and how I am seen throughout society. I can say that in my professional space. Anytime it's easy, it's not the right decision. It's just never the right decision. So if I could go up on stage and I could get booed, that only sharpens my skills in order to live the purpose of what my creator is giving me. He doesn't give it to you easy. Sometimes he'll throw you a bone. Here, here's a shorty for you in life. Here, take a bag. Go ahead, take 10,000. Go ahead and do something with that. He'll do that, but that's only once in a while. So I think this is a perfect segment to get into the second segment of this podcast. And it's called Facts. Yeah, man. So we still got Star here. She didn't leave yet. And I appreciate you, Star, man. This is the Cubby. If you guys do not know what the Cubby is, it's a platform to help you get from point A to point B. We allow 5 Black professional men in the space, millennials, if you could say, to share their experiences, to give you some tools and tidbits in order for you to move forward. We have special guests to try to come and give their opinion. Then we're doing a 7-part series with some pushers and movers of the culture that we feel is not only advantageous to your health, but advantageous to their platform as well. So we have one person here that fits into not only marvelous standpoint, but fits into the spirituality that we all have. And us as a community, our spirituality is prominent. We have to keep forward. That is our foundation. So, what I will say that with is a factual statement. Hurt people hurt people. Facts. And I want to get your opinion on that, Star. How do you feel about that statement? Is it true? Is it false? How do you feel?
That is definitely true. I have witnessed hurt people hurt people. But I also like to offer that loved people love people. And so sometimes we only focus on the negative, but that's also a true statement. But I have been like, I'll just give you a quick story. Just recently this fall, I had this really close friend and she suffered from like abandonment issues. Like she had grown
So do
up. Okay. Well, okay.
I didn't mean to cut you off and mess up your whole story. But yeah, when people say abandonment issues, I raise my hand. Yeah, that's me.
That's fine. So she had abandonment issues, and it allowed her to build up a wall. And whenever she felt like someone was going to leave her life, she had to push them out. And she literally did that to me. And I remember crying to God, like, what is going on here? I actually started to share some of the story because I came this close to denouncing my letters because of her, because of the things that she was doing. Yeah, because of the things that she was doing to me. You know, I'm a Christian, she's a Christian, but she was a legalistic Christian. I didn't realize that. And so
legalistic, hold on, describe that. What are you talking about?
So yeah, a legalistic Christian is someone who like tries to follow the law and the Bible like to the T without really allowing the Holy Spirit to move you in the direction. And so certain things you may read in the Bible, you may think, oh, this is what God is saying, but the Holy Spirit actually has to give you direction and
so
illuminate
no interpretation?
that word for you. Yeah, we can say that.
So are those the people that used to hurt themselves based on them not like wearing wooden shoes?
I don't know. I don't know, but it could be because there are a lot of people who try to uphold God's law, and I'm like, that is not God's law. Is first of all, God's law. He will tell you this. It's all in His Word. Is to love people.
That's it. Love is love. Fact. Let's talk about
that. Is His second. Like we're supposed to love Him, and then we're supposed to love people. Like that's what we're supposed to be doing. So every decision that we make should be out of love. And so when I see someone who is intentionally hurting someone, and especially because I have to coach a lot of people through this, it's coming from a place of pain. Like they are hurting as well. This is how they show love. They think that they're showing love by hurting people, but it's all that they know. And so when I was the brunt of that person's hurt, I'm crying to God, and God's like, you have to remember, like, she's also been hurt. She just lost her aunt, and now she's just taking it out on you, and she's really trying to take it out on me. But this is what God is telling me. But she's taking it out on you because you're the closest thing to God.
Gotcha.
And so, yeah, hurt people definitely do hurt people.
Yeah, it's a fact, man. Hurt people, and you find it in every walk of life. And I call these people petty people. Petty people, man, listen. It's this revolving wheel. I got a good friend of mine, man. I'm not going to shout him out right now. But if he's listening, he knows. He's one of the most petty people that I know. If he does something or somebody hurts him or they steer away from what he deems to be appropriate, he will intentionally go out his way to make it seem as though you didn't hurt me or I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah.
And that is strictly based off of what? That is strictly based off of a fear or a lack of confidence that you can't stand on your own too. Yeah, I said it. Yeah, I said it. And don't call me tomorrow.
Call it?
Don't call me tomorrow. I don't want to hear it. Because hurt people hurt people. We as a community, we got to separate from that. But it is a natural instinct for us to do. And the more that we follow in the words of our Creator or follow in the words of whatever Creator that you find to be appropriate, you got to understand, man, love. Mm-hmm. Love is love, man. There's another instance where I have, and somebody was trying to put you in a situation and put me in a situation that they felt like love is.
Right. And
I had to tell them, yo, love is love. It's not your image of love.
Right.
I am providing this love to you. Mm-hmm. That is what would give you the true definition of love.
Yeah.
And it's not about what we think is the same. It's really not. Mm-hmm. It's just, yo, I'm giving all myself to you that what I can. Do you accept it?
Right.
Or do you not? And I think this goes into another fact that I traditionally have. And this is a huge fact that I say all the time. Like, it's not even a joke. We as a community raise our kids in fear. Facts. We raise our kids in fear, man. Like, me operating in different spaces now, and God willing, I've been able to be exposed. That's one of the things that I credit my mom to. She gave me a lot of exposure, right? Outside of the community that I was raised in, because I ain't see these type of people in my school. She just threw me into the lion's den. And she said, figure it out. So I figured it out, but I gained a lot of exposure from it. But we in our community raise our kids in fear. And what do you think, what is the reason why, in your opinion, that we do?
I think for a lot of us, man, we're afraid of death, especially when you're raising a child. You don't want them to die on your watch, especially when it's a Black child at that, and you know how society is going to treat that child. I don't know if you ever heard of the book Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Have you ever heard of that?
I'm going to check that out.
That book is really good. I actually forgot the author's name, but she's amazing. She has an example in her book of her being in the bank. She's Black, and she was in the bank, and there was this white mother, and her children were just running around free as a bird. And then there was this Black mother where her kids were just like falling in line. And she was analyzing that situation where, like, the Black mother is afraid to lose her kids, so she's raising them. Of course, it's a respect thing too, but she's raising them in a way where it's like, you don't speak out of turn. You don't walk out off. You don't just go and walk off. But here's this white family where she's just allowing her child to just run off and do whatever, and then we start growing up with that mentality too. Like, you'll see that there are some Black people who are just super reserved, especially when it comes around being around white people.
Of course.
But not only just like the color thing, also like like I said, some people are afraid of death. So they don't want to see their child get hurt. So they're going to try to raise them in a way where they're not going to get hurt. You can't cross the street by yourself. Not that any child should be doing that. You can't go outside by yourself. Like, these are guidelines and guards to keep us safe. But then sometimes, especially if you're someone who is driven by fear, it can really impact your life and your child's life, so that they're not free in becoming who they need to be. Especially like if they start off when they're young, it's fine. Give them the guidelines when they're young. When they get to a certain age, you got to start pulling back so that they can start to get that freedom.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect example. One time I saw a set of, I believe they were brothers. I didn't ask them, so I can't really, that's not a factual statement. But I believe they were brothers just based on how they were interacting. And I was in the park, and these brothers, the older brother was climbing a high structure, right? And his younger brother was looking up at him, and he wants to, of course, he's a younger brother, he wants to climb the high structure too. Mm-hmm. So the brother's at the top, and he says, don't worry, I'm going to teach you how to do it. He comes down. Now, mind you, there's adults looking at the kids climb this high structure. Nobody said anything, but everyone has that look of disdain, as in, where these kids' parents at? Why are they doing that? What is going on? But no one's saying nothing. So you know me, and I'm going to say something. So I go up to him, I say, hey man, you sure you should be climbing this structure? He's like, yeah man, I do this every day, all day, twice on Sunday. And I said, word? He said, yeah man, I done figured out the blueprint. I know what I'm doing. I said, all right, you sure you want to take up your young boy? Yeah, I'm going to teach him how to do it. Wow. So as soon as he said that, I said, good, bless, man. Teach your brother how to do it. I'm not trying to instill fear into this kid. Exactly. Because once you still instill fear into this kid, what happens? It pollutes the mind, and now we start to fall. He's been doing this every day, all day, twice on Sunday.
He knows the blueprint. Don't forget that.
He know the blueprint.
Yeah.
So he taught his brother how to, I'm watching him. He taught his brother how to get up. And then after a while, he let his brother go up by himself. And he came down. I said, yo, that kid got it figured out.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, do not instill fear.
Come on.
Children, man. Because once you instill the fear into them, and this is how I feel like we have a little disadvantage as a community towards something else.
Yes.
You ever see a dude jump off of a cliff? And you're like, why did he just jump off of the cliff? Like, he's not scared of how it like. No, he's not.
Right.
You want to know why? Because of the belief.
Yeah.
The belief is I'm going to land safely. Or the belief is in himself that he knows how to protect.
Exactly.
himself.
Exactly.
If you're not jumping from the cliff, that means you're not getting the full experience.
Mm-hmm.
Half of the experience was going up the cliff.
Mm-hmm.
The other half is coming down.
Come on, that
That means you're only
excitement.
getting half the picture.
Exactly.
So I think that was a good point, man. And those kids, man, I'm gonna try to see if I can get those kids on the podcast. I'll be honest.
Do that. I want to share something about that too. Not that I know those kids because I don't, but not instilling fear when they're that young. Like I have a nephew. He's 5 turning 6 soon. I love him so much. He's so cute. But maybe around 3 or 4, I started to see the fear in him, right? So like he'd come into my bedroom and we'd be playing. And when I'm playing with him, I let him know he has free reign. I show him. I'm like, you can run further than that. There's no limits here because I grew up with too many limits. So I'm like, there's no limits here. So feel free to run, right? So he'll run. He'll play in my room. He got to my closet. He opened it. He was scared to go in. He was like, oh, I'm scared. And I'm like, what's scaring you? What are you afraid of? And he's like, it's dark in there. Oh no, I think he was like afraid of my clothes or something.
Yeah.
And
Well, you got
I'm
a lot
like,
of cool stuff. That's
well,
fine.
I mean,
Yeah,
so I'm like, so I walk him to my closet and I take out the clothes and I show him there is nothing to be afraid of. And then I speak over his life. You will not be afraid. You are not going to carry the spirit of fear. Why? Because you are loved and you have a family who loved you. So ain't nothing going to happen to you, you know? And then from there, like I started babysitting him over this past summer and, I would take him to the park so he could just run around and be free, you know, and I'll see him. He's running very slow, like very cautious, very slow. And there might be other people like that are far out. And I'm telling him, no, you can go. Like you have no limits here. You can run. And I just think it's so important to do that. You know, when we raise our kids sheltered, and there's nothing wrong with guidelines. There's nothing wrong with safety precautions, right? But if the issue is the instilling of fear inside of them. And once I see that fear, I'm like, I'm breaking it off of him because I don't want him to get to college and he's too afraid to take an internship. He's too afraid to take classes by himself. I know people who are afraid to walk outside by themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially now.
Exactly. You know, and it's just because of the perception. Like fear literally shows you an image that tells you like, don't do that or else.
Yeah.
And really what God had to do with me, God was like, don't make any decisions out of fear. That's how he broke fear off of me. Whenever I start feeling afraid and I'm about to make a decision, he's like, don't do it. Don't do it. So I just want to make sure that like, not just make sure, but my whole thing with teaching people how to hear from God is really to help them get out of that fear. Get out of that fear that has been that they have been living in for far too long. Like, no, when you have the truth, when you know the power within you, then you are able to do whatever you want to do. Like the reality is we're in charge of this world.
100%.
Not Satan, not demons, like none of that. You know, like we're the ones who are in charge of this world. We talk about power. Our power comes from God. Like he's the one who gives it to us. 100%. And because he created all things, that means that you have the power to create with your words, of course, because the Holy Spirit lives within us. I have to say that because there's some people who
you can say whatever you want to say.
Right. Okay. Right. But that same power that he has given it to you when he died on the cross. Like he gave that power to you. And that's really what I'm doing with people throughout my platform is to let you know you have nothing to fear. What you see that's trying to stop you, those limits that are there, I need you to press into those limits and push past the boundaries. I feel like I'm about to preach a whole sermon.
I got a little hot. I ain't gonna lie to you. I got a little hot. And when I get hot, it's a calling. It's a message. That means I felt it. You know what I mean? And that's when I get hot, and this is what I've been bestowed upon or like destined. I'm good with connecting with people. It's been bestowed upon me. My mom gave it to me. Got it from the Lord. Yeah, that's the trend. But that's what we really need to give, especially nowadays. Mm-hmm. And that's why it was important to get you on. Like I do everything intentional. Everything intentional. There's nothing I don't do that is intentional. And this is why the reach out was important. The scheduling was important. Whether it worked, it was going to work out. It was going to work out. Because they call me. You know what they call me, don't you?
What?
TLouDoWhatitDo.
I thought you about to change your name. I'm like, you got a whole new name? It took me wild to learn TLou.
Nah. TLouDoWhatitDo.
There it goes. Oh my goodness. It took a whole hour. I was sitting here just waiting on edge. Like this episode is not funny enough because he's not even laughing. Oh my goodness. Woo. That's it. We can end. Yo, I was like, I cannot walk away without him laughing. That don't make no sense. I was timing it like, dang, I must not be funny. This topic is a serious topic. That's why.
This is it, man. I want to shout out, man. Jess Forbes, man. Just
Yes,
put me
that's
on,
my
man.
boo. We still friends.
Y'all still friends? Y'all still
We
good?
still friends.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Sometimes with women, man, you don't know, bro. I'm gonna be honest. You know,
I'm gonna just let
things
that one
happen.
slide right on by.
No, I'm just saying. I'm being honest. You don't know. You don't really know. You don't know with people. Let me just say that.
Yeah.
Let me just say you don't know people, but especially you don't know. I'm just.
I feel like you have something to say about women.
I'm just being honest. All right, let's talk about it. I think women get attached quickly and detach quickly. So when it comes to
Women get
long-lasting,
attached. Well, you have to say it clearly.
women get attached quickly
and they get detached
quickly. You ever meet a group of women sometimes? Oh my God, yeah, I like you here. It's cool. Yeah, we can be friends. One thing goes wrong. Wow, man, I ain't really trying.
Yeah, that's back to the petty and the pain and the hurt.
It goes back to that. Like,
but that's guys too. That's not just women. People.
I disagree.
People.
I think
you
guys
just called
don't.
out your friend. You just called out your friend who is King Petty.
Yeah, he's petty, but he's not going to detach a whole relationship off of a night. He's not going to do that, but he's going to try to get you back. I just feel, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and your listeners, you can call in, not call in because it's people, but you can let me know. Comments. I feel as though women get detached more quickly to other women than men do. But I digress. That's a whole nother episode.
That's good. That's fine if you digress.
What I will say is I think this is a perfect segment to get into our last segment. And this is called Love is Love. I think bringing it full circle in terms of fear and in terms of faith, because we know that is counter, that's similarities. They run on the same train, or not the same train, but they run on the same path, just parallel. Mm-hmm. But love is the tracks. Yes. Let's just say that. So this is a love is love statement. I'm going to kick it to you. Actually, no, I'm going to go with my love is love statement just to end off the night. My love is love statement never changes. It is always the same. Comedy is life. Life is comedy. Is comedy life? Just use those 3 words, man. If you use those 3 words, you'll be fine. Because you have to decide to laugh. You're going to get all other emotions throughout your life. You're going to be happy. You're going to be sad. You're going to be mad. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be anxious. You're going to be all these different emotions. But the one thing about comedy is that you have to decide to put yourself in a setting in order to laugh. So please, when I say comedy is life, life is comedy life, it's a mantra because it puts you in a space of peace. It allows you to de-stress. So that's my love is love statement. I'm going to kick it over to Shamara Cox. I call her Star. Please, what is your love is love statement for the people to end off on?
So mine is step into your power. It has been my tagline for a while, and I didn't really know it until I started saying it. And I saw it in twofold, like step into your physical power. Don't let anything stop you or limit you. And step into your spiritual power. You're more powerful than you think that you are. Anything that's trying to stop you, any boundaries, push past it. Push past it. See those limitations and go beyond it. Because I promise you, what is on the other side of faith is manifestation, and you're going to be very happy with it.
Wow, you just used a big word that I want to expand upon before we close out. Manifestation. That is the power to manifest things, not to use the same word in definition, but the power to create things based on your intention, right? Can we say that? Is that like a powerful enough statement?
That's
and I want
good.
more people
I'm going
to
add to
that.
that. I'm going to add to that. It's the power to call things into existence. Like that is the power that God has given us as well.
When was the last time you manifested something? Just something small.
That's a good question. Oh, my content. Content. Yeah, I was afraid to even move into the type of content, like the most recent videos that you see me doing. Yeah. I was afraid to do that.
And why? They powerful.
Because I failed at fear of failure. I failed at it in grad school back in 2012. And I was like, I'll never be able to create content like that, which is another thing. Do not speak those curses over your life. Right. And God started pushing me like, it's time. It's time. It's time. And as I see it, I can create it.
Anything you can see, you can do, man. I don't even know how to Cubby here at this point. You got to understand, like, when we came out with the Cubby, it was off to the races. And I'm telling you, we was doing numbers that I ain't even imagine. I'm just like, oh, okay, we here. I think people really like the content. But guess what happened? Life hit us. Yeah. Life hit us to a place where it was just like, yo, man, you got to really know if you're about this life. Yeah. And I take on a lot of responsibility as a young individual, as a young man. Like, as I mentioned, I can do all things. I'm not playing around. when I say it.
I believe you.
Just being factual.
It's
So-
funny, every time you say that, I want to finish that scripture.
No.
You're like, I
you
can
mean
do all things. I'm like,
you mean through
Christ
God that strengthens me?
you.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was just assuming
Yeah,
everybody
sure.
knows what that means. It's not about me. It's really not. I can do all things through God that strengthens me.
Mhm.
Like that's something that I have tatted on me because that's where the fear comes from. We fear things because we feel like we don't have the foundation to move forward. You don't want me to get into some stuff.
We try to step into our own. We try to like do it on our own strength. But when you say that scripture is really doing it on the strength of Christ, and so like when that fear creeps in, it's like, oh, because I can do this, or I can only do but so much. But when that faith creeps in, it's like, actually, I have a Father who does something way bigger than that.
And that's how.
Go ahead.
No. That's how you get into a different space. That's how you grow. When you not make it about you. That's a huge thing I tell people all the time. It's not about you, bro. No, what do you mean? I got to do this. First of all, you're using too many eyes in your sentence.
That's it.
Too many eyes. What do you mean I? Well, I what? I got 2 eyes. That means I know it's not I. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a big we person. Huge we person. We built this. We doing that. We on top. Because at the end of the day, if you just go on the top, I got this thing that I say, it's a joke that I normally tell people out here in these comedy streets. I said, listen, man, I was almost married, man. And because I was almost married, that means I done climbed Mount Everest. I done gone through the frostbite and the little pools where you got to lose a finger and you don't really know where the finger at, but you know it's in the snow. So you just got to lose it, but you got to keep mounting. The one thing about being engaged is, and not going through with it, it's like you climbing Mount Everest and then you look at the top. You're like, nah, I'm just going to go ahead and go back there.
Right.
So because of that, I understand a purpose and a driven towards going a goal. It's going to be painful. And the only way to go through that, I truly believe, the only way for you to climb Mount Everest is for you to just let go and just keep walking.
That's so good. God has been telling me that all day. Let go. Let go.
Let go.
You gotta let go. That's it.
Jesus, take the wheel.
Come on.
Because I'm tired.
Let go. Let go of control. Let go of that fear. Let go of your thoughts. Let go of your strength.
And drive with faith. I think that's a perfect way to close on this episode today, man. As mentioned, this is your host, TLou. TLou, do what it do. We had a great episode with, I think this is probably our top, I would say, man, go ahead and count. Yeah, this is our top 2 greatest episodes that we done ever did. And we have our guest here. I'm going to close it off with always, man. Love is love. Facts. Let's talk about it.
You are listening to the Cubby Podcast with the Cubby Cast and your host, Tyrone Lewis.